already know it. I know we about to shine, cause we already glowing. To get all this
Welcome to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always an instant classic.
And your
I want to punch Jim Cornette in the face repeatedly until he bleeds because he's stupid. We'll see you on the Dippity Dippity. Oh yeah.
What is up? Welcome to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. I could say it's always an instant classic, but you already saw that in the intro. That was like sort of live now, kind of a little bit. But anyway, we're back to do our weekly pack of six. Well, technically a 12-pack because he gets 6 and I get 6, so it's like a 12-pack. But we call it a 6-pack, and then it's you know, don't try to understand it. Just go with it. It's WWE. Just go with it. Kind of like tonight on Raw with the. But anyway, we are gonna sort of almost like our Cena debate we did a while back. I'm going to take the negativeness of Roman Reigns and tell you why he sucks and why you should never watch him and why he should boom all the time. And while he might be a good father, he is not a good wrestler. And then DJ going to try and be like, oh, he's not that bad. He's good. And he blah, blah, blah. But anyway, to be fair, most of mine are technically WWE. So, but at the end of the day, we always say it is WWE, but at the end of the day, it does trickle down to the superstars. So you kind of can't really avoid it, because they're the one that's in the public eye. They're the one on Raw and SmackDown. They're the one on the pay-per-views that has to deal with it. Creative gets to sit back in their, offices and whatever. So technically it's creative and WWE's fault, but, somebody got to be blamed, and it's going to be Roman. So I'm going to blame Roman for his suckage. But anyway, starting off, I do have an honorable mention because there was like 328 reasons why Roman Reigns sucks. So I've narrowed it down to 7. 6, but with an honorable mention. My honorable mention is he is basically the prototypical Vince's guy. He's a big guy, muscular. He's good looking. He's handsome. That's really all you need to be Vince's guy. You don't need the talent. You don't need, So that's going to be my honorable mention. Do you have any honorable mentions for your side?
Okay, I would agree with that. He is the prototypical Vince's guy, and I guess the issue is with Vince. I mean, Vince is running the company. I guess my thing to a certain degree is let's equate it to Chick-fil-A, right? I applied for Chick-fil-A, right? I did. I know I have bad references. Shut up. I applied for Chick-fil-A. And I have, this facial hair that Chick-fil-A employees or the management, they don't really like. Wait, I'm getting to the point. They don't really like that, right? So Chick-fil-A, for example, they have their prototypical type of employee, right? Am I wrong? Okay, so let's equate it more to something Casey would understand. Kmart, right? Kmart, they got their prototypical, type of person that they recruit. If you living in a box, not trying to get to Kmart, they don't want you. That's how that. But no, to a certain degree, that was when I had to debate it because I'm on the other side. But I feel like Is it his fault that he's Vince's prototypical guy? Not necessarily. He just was made this way. He was made as with the hair that I can't get, and he was made. All well, he wasn't technically made yet, but he played football, so he was made. He like made himself into that. I don't know. I mean, I had to fight it because I'm on the other side, so I gotta come back with a vengeance on you. It might not work, but I'm gonna come back anyway.
All right. All right. I feel you. I got it. So moving on to number 6, we in the top 6 now. We in it. We all up in it and around it and under it and on. Anyway, same Shield music. And to be honest, I've personally, and I know a couple other fans I've seen on YouTube and reviews feel the same way. It's almost killing the music also. Again, not totally his fault. WWE Creative just hasn't given him any other music, but it's kind of like, if we ever do get that Shield reunion, when that music hits, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be like, when DX music hits nowadays and, you get that big pop, or when NWO returned and we had their music hit and we had that huge pop. We're going to have, if they do a Shield reunion, we're going to get the Shield music hit, but there's going to be really no pop. There's going to be, it's kind of killing it. And I'll get a little bit into his attire later, but I think that's one of the big issues. It's, at the very least, change his music. You don't have to, you can keep the whole Shield gimmick. You can keep all that. Change the music. Music does a lot for a character, gimmick wise. And, it's like I said, it's going to kill any momentum you have for a possible Shield reunion because we hear it all the time. That's just my opinion on it. But do you have any rebuttal, sir?
Okay. I could agree with that definitely. Because even if you change his music ever so slightly, that does slightly change the gimmick. Just because like you can't say that he's a carbon copy of what he was in the Shield, with different music, right? Like it's still like it is a slight change. I mean, it is like when you think about it, because when you come out to a different theme, it's just something about it. Like even like let's just say for example, when Bobby Roode, when he was in TNA, he had a similar gimmick throughout, but even that slight change in his music during his late run in TNA, it made it feel a little bit different when he came out. And that's all I'm trying to say with that. But my, I guess, first point is similar to that. He's still in a tag team / faction gimmick. Now I asked this question multiple times, and I ain't heard not one of y'all tell me anybody but Jeff Hardy who is actually been good as a singles competitor in a tag team / faction gimmick. And I mean like a legit like powerhouse, like big time faction, not what am I trying to say? Not like something that was thrown together because they were all main event stars, or anything like that. Yes.
See, but I almost fight that too, because I never really saw Jeff Hardy as being in a tag team gimmick. He's always been so much of a unique, individual that, I mean, yes, he still wore sort of the same pants, but he was so unique that it kind of, I would just kind of fight that, but yeah. I can get where you're coming from.
Yeah, and my point to that is even Jeff Hardy used the Hardy Boys music. Later on it changed when he got to like ECW, and a little bit later in his career he got that that newer, he got a little bit of a different spin on his music, but he was using the Hardy Boys music for a while there, even as a singles guy. But since he was such a unique character anyway, it kind of worked.
I mean, even with the Hardy Boys, they did change their music you know, slightly over the time, and even when they split up, it did change a little bit. So
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I definitely agree. You know, I can agree with that. Do you have something else to say, real quick? Or
no, do you,
okay. I mean, 'cause I mean, with my first point being, he's still in a tag team faction slash gimmick. Um, you know, I just feel like it ties your hands a lot. When you look at some of the success stories coming out of tag teams, these guys were always something, if not completely different, at least slightly different than what they were as a tag team. One of the biggest ones I think of is Bubba Ray to Bully Ray, because he was just so much different as a singles guy than he was and obviously he was a heel as well, so that factors into it. When you look at a team, I'm trying to think of another team. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I mean, it's just there's just so much more of a difference. Because I think even if you take the Wolves and split them apart, there's got to be something unique about each one of them. And I think that was the plan from the beginning. Was like, oh, he's gonna keep the Shield thing. But the issue is it tied his hands a lot, in my opinion, because uh, basically they just took him out of the Shield and says, oh, he and made us think, hey, he's just the big guy from the Shield, which is fine at first. But to a certain degree, it does get old because, like you said, the reunion thing, we want to see the reunion thing, but once the music's overplayed, it's just no fun anymore.
yeah. So that was your number 6, right? We got
Yes.
off onto a topic and it was confusing for a little bit there. Anyway, so now my number 5, he's way too protected. I mean, just even looking at his ring gear, the man wears basically a Kevlar vest. Like, if that doesn't say protected, I don't know what does. I mean, yes, he's taking bumps and he's taking all these slams and everything, but he basically has protection. So, and you know, he really doesn't do too many, you know, big spots that much. So they're definitely, you know, trying to protect him as much as they can. Fans notice it. Fans complain about it all the time. And I mean, yes, you kind of want to protect all of your superstars to an extent, just because we kind of just got off. It feels like we just got off like half a year of like everyone getting injured. It feels like it's calmed down a little bit now. It feels like everyone's coming back from injury. Everyone's kind of getting healthier again. But it's kind of, you know, you can't make it that obvious that, you know, you're trying to protect your top guy. You know, why not just put him in like a huge bubble or like a football uniform and have him wrestle that way? It's just, you know, I don't even know how to. It's just, it's dumb, and it feels unconventional to wrestle in that. Like, it doesn't feel like he would have enough like movement in it. It's just, I don't know. I've never really liked the vest anyway, but just the fact that they're keeping it on him and it's so obviously padded, and you know, it's just, you know, this is professional wrestling, so obviously guys are gonna, you know, be slammed and put through tables. Make it a little bit believable that, you know, what you're doing to somebody is really gonna hurt. Like, if I see Roman Reigns get hit in the back with a steel chair, how am I supposed to believe that that's really as impactful as it's supposed to be when the man has a freaking vest? Come on now. Anyway, but yeah, that's just one of the obviously, you know, and I feel like we always complain about that with the top stars. It's not just Roman Reigns. It's, you know, John Cena, you know, Randy Orton for a while when he was the top guy. They all get sort of protected in a way, but I feel like for Roman, it's been a little bit to the extreme, it feels like. But yeah.
On that, I agree. because I do not like the vest at all. Because I feel like if you're gonna make him this big tough guy from if that's what they're going with, because that to me that's what I've always understood. I feel like you should take the vest off of him. Even have him go out there shirtless. Because oh god, especially during his when he first came out, oh my god, you know how freaking women are, especially females who watch it for the men to just be attractive, right? I feel like that would have made sense too, because he does have that like aura about him where he is kind of a cocky guy just when you look at him. And he looks like he's all about himself. So I mean I definitely get that, but not my number five. Is I'm gonna skip where I have number five now and go to another one. I think. Actually, I'm just gonna go in order because I'll get confused and I don't want to. In my opinion, he's a very good storyteller. He's one of the best storytellers, but that's in my opinion. He's a very good storyteller. Now I have two examples of this. I would have had more, but I went to the fair today and I didn't get to watch as much Roman Reigns as I wanted to today to prepare myself mentally for this. But first one is I watched Reigns versus Orton at SummerSlam 2014. And I've noticed it from Reigns in a lot of his matches, but in this one in particular, there was one that really caught my eye when Reigns, he locks in a sleeper, but he doesn't have the greatest grip on it. So he jumps on Orton's back to get better leverage. Just saying, that's pretty good to me. And obviously Orton would slam him, to get out of that. So maybe that was planned, but still, it was still a smart thing. Where on both sides, it was still a smart thing. He didn't have a lot of grip, so he jumped on his back to try to get a better grip. Still couldn't get a grip. Orton gets out of it. Second one is Brock versus Reigns at Mania 31. Not 30. I have Mania 30 for some reason. Mania 31. Throughout the entire match, he sold the fact that Brock was just killing him, throwing him around. And he also hit that little like cunning smile because they were building him as a real tough guy at this point. So he was, he had this like cunning smile about him where, Brock would just beat him up and he just, it wasn't like that Apollo Crews, like, I'm still happy smile. It was like that, like, I kind of like pain type of a smile. And I don't know, I just liked it. And he does this in every one of his matches where he struggles to get to his feet. I really like the way he does that. He does the weird, like, crawling around thing when he starts to get hurt. So in my opinion, one of the things that we never think about, at least not a lot of us anymore, think about as wrestling fans, it feels like, is storytelling in a match. And I feel like Reigns does a very good job of that. And I gave you two specific examples. Go back and watch the matches. SummerSlam 2014 and Mania 31. But I've noticed it in a bunch of his matches. Even with the matches with AJ, he still did the same thing. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when he doesn't sell things. But to a certain degree, does anybody sell anything in WWE? Besides Rusev, that's the only man I've seen sell anything. No one really sells a lot in WWE. Yes.
Bruh, have you watched my boy Dolph Ziggler? That man sells everything.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Okay, no, but I mean, like, WWE is like the norm for no selling. It seems like. I wasn't necessarily just pointing like at one person or anything.
John Cena sells shirts.
That is true. But I don't know. I just feel like there is that point of no selling to a certain degree, like you sell to hit your finisher or something. But that everybody does that. Even in the indies, people do that. They do it more than freaking WWE does. But that's my number five. That's my number five.
All right, I'm gonna let that one go.
Oh, you gonna bite your tongue on that one? Don't do that.
I'm gonna go to number 4.
I mean, no. Now I'm kind of curious because you sound like you got something in particular you want to say. Now I'm curious about this.
No, I really don't. I have no reply to that. But anyway, number 4. And DJ, this is gonna hurt DJ. DJ, we've argued about this many a time, but Roman Reigns has really, really bad promo and mic skills. Really bad. And the thing about this is, and we've talked about this many times, certain guys don't necessarily need to have mic skills. They don't need to talk. Roman Reigns does not need to talk. He can, I mean, there's been tons of superstars who never really talked that much. You know, Goldberg never really talked that much, and he got over huge. Sting kind of specifically made a career where he didn't talk much, and he was over. Well, when he went to the Crow Sting, but Undertaker never really talked much. Yes, he had Paul Bearer, but you know, Roman Reigns doesn't necessarily need to have promo skills. He just needs to be that, you know, sort of badass character, or have a manager or a valet or something that can talk for him. Because I mean, when the man, you've seen his interviews with JoJo and how creepy that man gets. I mean, even
I mean,
like, bruh.
that's just because I'm so smooth, you know. Yeah, okay. I definitely agree that he's not necessarily the greatest talker.
He's horrible.
I don't think he's the greatest talker in the world, but from a standpoint of him being, quote, in my opinion, when I see him as the big guy from the Shield and acting tough and supposedly being tough, I think he does a good job at that in general. Just that. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel like his promos aren't as good because there's too much hand holding in his promos. This is my number 4. There's too much hand holding in his promos. And if you think I'm lying, look at half the freaking WWE roster and tell me their hand isn't held. I mean, they got the fingers like interlocked. Like they're like boyfriend, girlfriend or something. That's how much hand holding there is in these freaking promos, man. I don't know. Like I just feel like it's just in general throughout WWE. It feels like, there's a lot of hand holding. Just in a ton of promos. And I just feel like it's sometimes it's a lot easier for some people need a lot of preparation when it comes to stuff like that, but some guys really don't. Like they need the preparation to need to know where they're going, what the main goal is, what they're trying to get out of the promo, but they don't need to be their handheld throughout the whole thing. And a lot of times what happens, because I've learned this from experience, if I try to practice something directly, and just specifically over and over and over again and try to do it that same way the next day when I have to do it, if I forget something, I freeze up because I don't like to prepare too much, to where like I'm thinking about it in the back of my mind. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. So I feel like to a certain degree, there's a little bit too much hand holding in WWE promo class or whatever we're talking about at this point. And that's just with everybody, not just with him, or a lot of people. I wouldn't say everybody, because some people do get to kind of do their own thing with their promos.
But I think also with that, promos in general in WWE are so scripted. Like, it's bad how scripted they are. There's almost nobody that it feels like just goes out and does natural promos. Even guys that are good just doing natural promos, it feels like WWE scripts their promos still, which is kind of annoying. I mean, even to an extent, AJ Styles feels like his promos are scripted by WWE.
Yeah, I think an issue with that is you can't, with WWE, you can't really say what you want to say. Because if you think about it, when you're on the indies or you're not on as big of a network, you have a little bit more of an edge that you can put on your stuff. Whereas now WWE isn't afforded the opportunity. Well, they can afford it, but technically they're not afforded the opportunity to say those edgier things and let their superstars go all out. Because a lot of times, if their superstars were to go all out, they may say things that they shouldn't say, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, even in like pay-per-views now, it feels like when we do get a promo on a pay-per-view, it feels so scripted, and it shouldn't, because for the most part, people should have the WWE Network, so you shouldn't have to. I mean, I get, yes, there's still, you know, the people that don't have that don't have the WWE Network that have to order through their cable provider, which, okay, then, you know, WWE still technically has to, you know, appease whoever that is. But I think eventually, you know, again, you know, there's never going to be a point where everyone gets the WWE Network, because for some reason people have stupid reasons for not getting it, even though you get every pay-per-view ever.
WWE sucks.
But I mean, I feel like if there's ever a point where all of them are just on the network, maybe it'll start getting better, because then, you know, they can say pretty much whatever they want, because it's WWE's network. You know, it's not USA, it's not, you know, Sci-Fi, you know, it's their thing. So whatever, you know, but yeah, it feels like they're way too scripted right now, and it doesn't feel natural. Which, you know, fans really do pick up on. I think WWE doesn't think we pick up on it as much as we do, but we definitely do. But yeah. So on to number 3. The freaking fist cocking, forearm masturbation, whatever that is. I don't know what it is.
It's amazing, Casey. I would stop you right there. It's amazing. It's the greatest thing ever. Every time he does it, I'm like, yeah. Sorry, that feels weird.
Nothing
Anyway.
to add anything to the Superman punch. The Superman punch itself is ridiculously stupid as a finisher, and I have proof of this. It's not the same move, but look at No Way Jose. He has a punch as a finisher, and we think it is the stupidest thing in the world. But when Roman Reigns does a stupid it's the coolest thing ever. No. I will not accept that. No. And, you know, I just don't understand why that is. I mean, yes, he could keep it. I have no problem with him keeping it. There's, you know, a bunch of other guys in the indies that do basically the same move, and it's cool, whatever. But as a finisher, it just doesn't. I don't believe that is going to finish somebody off in a match. It's almost like, you know, Big Show with the KO punch. It's just not believable. Yes.
What about William Regal though?
I mean,
he had the brass knucks on though.
Yeah. But I mean, he should have some sort of like big, powerful slam, or, you know, something, and he just doesn't. Which kind of is one thing that throws me off about him. He doesn't really have any, except for the spear. He doesn't have any really big, powerful like slams or anything, or, you know, power bombs or anything like that. It's weird. But go ahead, you know, defend the Superman punch with everything that you have.
In my opinion, he does have that that power bomb that he starts doing now, from the freaking, I don't know what it's called, avalanche position, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember what it's called, but like Razor's Edge position, he'll throw him up and catch him in a power bomb. He does that now. So, you know, I like that a lot more than I like the Superman punch. Just because I guess they sold it so much to me that I like it. And I love doing this every time he gets up there. He's like, oh yeah, Superman. But I get so hyped when I see it. I don't know why, but I do. I don't know. I like it. I think it's kind of a cool move. I don't know if I'd say it's a necessarily a finisher worthy, but it's kind of turned into a signature now. He does more of the spear now than he does necessarily the Superman punch. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Superman punch to me is, you know, it's an interesting move. It definitely gives some sort of pop when you see it. And it depends on who's selling it as well. But I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the Superman punch. I like it, but like you said, I don't think it's necessarily finisher worthy. But yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't have a lot more power moves. But Two, if he did have a lot more power moves, let's be honest, as wrestling fans, we just cry about it because, you know. But anyway, my number three, I'm pretty sure we're on, um, is, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and throw this one out here because I don't feel like talking about this later. Now, this is in regards to he's being pushed down our throats. Now, technically, isn't every push someone being pushed down our throats? When you technically think about it. Now, just because you like them doesn't mean they're not being pushed down our throats. Because I'll give you a firm example of this. So, Seth Rollins, for example. Seth Rollins, when he was on his come up, he was doing his thing, right? And you know, I love Seth Rollins. Don't you dare get me wrong. I love Seth Rollins. But Seth Rollins, you know, he was getting all the matches, and don't get me wrong, he wasn't necessarily winning, but he was getting all the matches and whatnot. You know, he was getting the wins, at least the important wins. And let's just look on the other spectrum for people who aren't Miley, who don't like Seth Rollins, right? People who don't like Seth Rollins, they feel the same way that you guys feel about Roman Reigns. Like, oh, he's being pushed down our throats. Where's the other guy that I want to see or whatever? Technically, in my opinion, every push is technically being pushed down our throats because that's how a push works. If they don't gain any momentum, it's not a push. Because don't you dare get me wrong. Dean Ambrose winning the world title was nothing to me until the night after. Was nothing to me on that night because this push that I was hoping for never really happened. It just kind of happened in one match. Casey, don't lie to these people now. Don't lie to these fine people of the universe of Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. Don't you dare lie to them and tell them that Dean Ambrose's push was what a normal push is like. And by the way, the man, I checked the stats. You know, this is for Justin. You know, Justin, he's the statistics guy. I checked the stats, and he is 23-17 at pay-per-views. Now, yes, that is plus 500. That is plus 500, and that goes with the Shield as well. That counts those in, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Now that is plus 500. That's over, more wins than losses. But it's not 23-7. Right? Like it's not like an overwhelming majority. That's only 6 matches above 500. So I'm just saying, because I mean that's enough to kind of keep keep the coach hired. You know what I'm saying? 23-17. That's enough to keep the coach hired or whatever. But I mean that's just me. That's just my opinion. And I'm on this side of the debate, so I'm gonna throw it out there for you. I got the stats going. I got the evidence to prove that he's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy. Anyway, I ain't even gonna say it. I ain't even gonna finish it.
But he ain't got the title, so he ain't the guy. Anyway, no, but my rebuttal, my comeback, if you will, to me, there's pushing somebody down your throat, and then there's a natural push. I feel like there is such thing as a natural push where it's not just, this is our guy, you're going to love him, love him, love him, love him, love him, love him, love him. There's, okay, the fans like this guy, let's give him a push. And I just feel like WWE doesn't do that as much anymore.
Okay.
I mean, yes, they did it with Seth Rollins because he had a huge following from his indie days and then in the Shield. They did it sort of with Dean Ambrose. I feel like they did it off and on with Dean Ambrose because they would start it and then not do anything with it. And then they would start it again and not doing anything with it. And then I agree, when he did win it, I was excited. I marked out, but it was still kind of like, okay, but it's not as big as if you had done it originally. But then there's guys that they just, they want us to like him. They want this guy to be, and the fans are just not going to buy it. If we don't like something, we're not going to like it. You can't.
Okay. I see that. But when I think of it now, that's not his fault. Roman Reigns is told, go out there and be a face. Now, now Vince is he's back there like, they don't really like him. But Roman Reigns, you go out there and you be a face. And I don't know. In my opinion, like it wasn't necessarily his fault that the fans turned on him. And I'll get to that point in my next point. But or maybe I don't know. I'll probably throw it in there somewhere. But in my opinion, he got injured, and then he came back and basically won the Royal Rumble, if I'm not mistaken, or he came back and was in a feud with Big Show. But that ain't a good look. WWE, just saying. But I feel like because he was well liked when when the Shield first broke up. But I feel like too. He kind of when he got injured, it kind of took some of the steam out of what his push was going to be then. Because imagine if he would have got a chance to actually get the title when the fans were actually behind him. Because there was a time, and I know you don't want to believe it now because we're in the let's hate Roman Reigns era, but there was a time when the fans liked him. You remember when Batista won the Royal Rumble? That was that time when when they wanted Roman Reigns to win it. But I've said my point.
All right. Down to number two. Number two. Roman Reigns was pushed to the WWE World Heavyweight title way too fast. Yes, I'll admit he was one half of the tag team champions, but he never had, the US or the IC title. I mean, and again, a lot of the recent guys haven't done that, which is kind of, I feel like, killing it for me. Just because you look back and even, legend guys that we consider legends now all, had mid-card titles other than, the tag team titles. The Rock had the IC title multiple times. Austin had the IC title. Cena had the US title. I think he had the IC title as well. All those guys at least had like that build up from the mid card to, kind of earned your way to the world title. But I feel like a lot of guys like Roman, and even, it hurts to say it, but Seth Rollins, but because I do like Seth, but it's kind of like I feel like guys should earn their way up, have those mid-card titles, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what's killing the IC title and the US title. All these guys that WWE wants to be their main guy aren't getting these mid-card titles to help build them up, and they're kind of just there. And then, it kind of hurts the superstar as well, because the fans then are like, well, you didn't earn it. You just kind of were pushed up there, so again, not his fault, but still it doesn't sit well with a lot of fans, I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because it it's one of those things where like, and I guess like this is kind of more of a recent thing, because we've only really seen this recently. It feels like, now I may be wrong. I'm sure Justin can count off like the 7.5 times it's happened, but I've only the ones I remember vividly are Reigns and Rollins right now, who didn't like win that mid card title. Now they were, like you said, tag team champions, but they didn't win that like mid card type of a title, or that title that's supposed to elevate them. So I don't know. I feel like I'll be right back. My computer's going dead, and I don't want it to go dead. I really don't. Man, my chart is like right over there, and I knew it was gonna go dead before I even sat down. And what did I do? I sat down.
Sat down, yeah. He's always sitting down. He's always sitting down before he gets his charger. I tell him to get his charger before he comes, and then he doesn't get it, and then it's every time. Every time. You can't take him anywhere. But he'll be back in just a second, and we will continue with the trash that is Roman Reigns, the utter trash that is Roman. Look at it. Look at that smug. He looks like he's about to cry. Look at that guy. He is about to cry holding the world title. Like, how am I supposed to believe that is World Heavyweight Champion when he looks like he about to? Anyway, DJ back.
All right. So where were we? I was rebuttaling to something you were saying.
To Roman Reigns being pushed way too quickly.
Yeah, I definitely like. So what I was saying was, I definitely feel like it. It's unfortunate because it does, kind of, diminish those mid card titles a little bit. But I would also say too, this hasn't really happened a lot, from what I can remember. I don't remember it happening a ton. Like you said, even Cena had to win, mid card titles before he won the world title. Did it happen? I don't know. Did it during his first run? Not like necessarily like when he came back.
Never had a title that wasn't the world heavyweight title.
Man, I want his job. Anyway, Brock Lesnar's another guy. I just feel like in that regard, like I definitely agree. Like, but I think every once in a while WWE tries to throw in one guy that you're like, oh my God, he won the world title on his first, or he won the world title, before he won any other title or whatever, before he won another minor singles title. So I guess they try to make it feel big when it does happen. I don't know. I that's just me trying to think in WWE's mind, which is hard. Oh my goodness, that's a hard thing. Goodness. Anyway, is it my number 2 now?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. All right. Yeah. All right then. My number 2 is okay. He was given an opportunity that not any one of us, any superstar, any wrestler, even us, even Casey and I would ever turn down. So, okay, so this is my thing. WWE is one of those companies that, like they said, they've always been trying to build their own guys, right? Their own guy. They've been trying to build their own guys. That's been their goal all along. They don't want to they want to stay away from the indie front. And then when indie guys come in, they want to make sure that they don't win anything. Sometimes it depends on who it is. But they're always trying to build their person. And he was given an opportunity to be like the top guy coming out of, obviously he had a football career before, coming out of football. And I think my issue is people get mad at him for, somebody coming up to you and be like, we can pay you a lot of money to wrestle. You can be the world champion. Now, Casey, if Vince McMahon came up to you tomorrow while you're working at Kmart, he's like, Casey, you got a nice body there, you're a good looking fella.
I'm off tomorrow, so that.
Okay, let's just say you was working, right? Next day you work. Vince McMahon come in. He say, Casey, I like the body you got on you there. You got a nice face going on. The shirt is nice and everything. I saw that podcast you got. I want to make you the face of my company. Would you say no? Nope, you wouldn't. Let's just be honest. You wouldn't. If Vince McMahon comes up to you right now and is like, I want to make you the face of my company. And that's what I feel like he gets a lot of criticism for that, but he doesn't deserve it. He was given an opportunity. If I was given an opportunity tomorrow to work for ESPN, oh my goodness, I'm gonna be out of here. Not out of the podcast, but out of like this city. Like out of my home city. I'm gone. No, but yes.
I would say, Mr. McMahon, sir, I appreciate the offer, but I know, being a fan, if I was thrust into that position, the fans would not back me. They would not believe it. Therefore, I'm going to have to humbly accept the IC title. I'll take that.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I just feel like he gets a lot of criticism for something that none of us would ever say no to. For the most part. Now, don't get me wrong. If you got like this luxurious life that you just really, really love, or you have a job that you really, really love, or you're in you're not the wrestling business for you. That's a little bit different. But most of us, for the majority of us, we wouldn't turn it down. And I feel like he shouldn't get the criticism because he played he's an ex footballer, so he doesn't deserve to be a wrestler. It would be a little bit different in my opinion if he just went straight to the main roster and won the title. He did have to work his way up through NXT to a certain degree. Now it wasn't much of a workup, but he still had to learn the craft. He still had to he had to learn how to wrestle. He had to learn how to wrestle. And when you're given a chance, if someone's given a chance to go to the NBA instead of going to college, Kobe will tell you, college must be out now. But you know what I'm saying? So like that's just in my opinion. I feel like this is kind of one of those things that none of us would say no to. And if you're giving a jump start, on your career, on what was soon to be his next career. And just because he came from football doesn't mean he doesn't love wrestling. Because I've always been under the impression that there's a lot of different ways to get into wrestling. Now I don't know how to get into wrestling because I'm not in wrestling, but in my opinion, I feel like there's a lot of different ways to get to being like a manager or to get to being in power somewhere. It doesn't always happen the same way. So I that's why I always try to support the guys who did come from like bodybuilding and stuff like that. I don't feel like they're like, oh, let me crap on wrestling because I can't wrestle, so let me get in there. Like I don't think that's in my opinion. I think they are passionate for it. And in regard to the money thing, where he was like, I'm just doing it for the money. I mean, who ain't working for money though? Like, let's be honest, who ain't working for money? Everybody is. I'm just saying, everybody is. That don't mean you don't love it. That just mean you getting paid. And that's just me. But any rebuttal to that?
I mean,
I mean, I think you got it because you accepted your IC title request.
I mean, yeah, I would take the IC title. I mean,
just let me be on the cover of WWE 2K17 though.
I mean, you throw me the IC title, you give me an on-screen coupled in love thingy with either Sasha Banks or Alexa Bliss. And
you could probably get both of them. You'd be like, let me, what they got that like mud. What was that freaking mud match they used to have? I want to be in a bra and panties match. But see, I mean, put that in your contract. Put that in your contract. I'm telling you.
I want real matches. I don't want none of that anymore. But anyway, we're moving on to number one. We are finally at number one. This is the worst thing ever about Roman Reigns. I don't know. It's not the worst thing ever, but it just happened to be the last one. So it's not technically I don't know. But anyway, he is always pushed as a face or a face. He's never clearly pushed as a heel. They started that I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm the guy. That is not what we want. We want him to go heel because we feel like it'll work out better. He's been in this weird gray area where it's like, is he a heel? Is he a face? What is he? And it's not like an Austin gray area where, he's a face, but, he acts like a heel. This is just a weird, like, he had an identity crisis thing where it's confusing. I really do think that a heel turn would benefit him. I think, it could, expand his character. And, many wrestlers have said that it is definitely easier to run a heel gimmick than it is to run a face gimmick, because heels, you can do whatever it takes to get heel heat. You can say whatever you want, you can make fun of fans in the audience, blah blah blah, whatever, but when you're a face, you kind of have to almost walk on eggshells. You always have to be the perfect, you always have to be the good guy, not do anything wrong. And you did not just do a perfect 10. You did not just. And DJ ruins another video. But yeah, he's always either a face or in that weird area where we're not really sure what's going on. Any rebuttal? And no, nothing that has to do with a perfect 10, because he sucked.
You said perfect. I had to do it. I definitely agree. I wish they would just give him an identity, because that's one of the main reasons, in my opinion, that I feel like a lot of people have a problem with him, is he doesn't even have a true identity. And even as a face or a heel, I get it, I don't know how to go to, give him a tagline or whatever, but I just feel like they just need to give him a direction to go, because if you give somebody a direction to put throw their promos in and wrestle in, it makes them a lot better, because at least they know where they're going, they know what they need to do, they need to know if they need to get heat, if they need to get cheered, and I feel like that's kind of the issue. And to a certain degree, we're taking that on him, but it's another sense of WWE not listening to the fans, right? Like the fans booing him and WWE just not listening to us, because we're gonna watch regardless.
Or turning up the crowd reaction so we.
Yeah. So we because we still ain't booing him though. We ain't.
Yeah. What you gonna do when it goes live, huh? What you gonna do?
Alrighty. My last number one, I guess. Argument 4 on the 4 side of Mr. Reigns. Or the anyway. This is something that I think they should do. Honestly, I think it may even have been a little bit too late. In my opinion, Reigns hasn't even had a chance to explain why he's lost and still in the Shield. Because if they if they let him go out there and say, and this would have given him a face reaction immediately. If he would have went out there and said, especially when the fans kind of started turning on him, if he would have went out there and just been or even as a heel turn, this could be a heel turn thing. I kept the Shield music, and I kept the Shield, the attire and whatever. I kept that jacket because I knew you guys loved the Shield. I was doing it all for you. You know what I mean? If he went out there and said he was doing it for the fans, that could have helped him a long time ago. But now I think it could be a heel turn type thing, and talk about how I did this for you guys, but you guys didn't care. You know what I mean? I feel like they could kind of like an Alex Riley type thing when Alex Riley was turning heel, but I feel like he didn't really. I know, right? Stupid. Anyway, he didn't get a chance to explain why he's using the Shield stuff. Like Seth Rollins is I'm the architect. That's why I changed myself. Dean Ambrose is Seth killed my Shield, so I'm doing my own thing. But Roman was just I'm still in the Shield, guys. I'm just gonna get 2 other people. Oh, don't nobody. You know what I mean? He was still, in that Shield thing, but didn't get a chance to explain why. At least as fans, if we know why you're using the Shield music, why you're using the Shield gimmick, why you're still using the Shield entrance, you know what I'm saying? Then we're a little bit more, we're okay, we understand now. Whereas he was kind of thrown into this and we didn't understand why. He could even use the crowd thing and be and especially for turning heel, he could be I kept coming through the crowd because I knew you guys loved, you guys love that personal interaction with a superstar. You guys love that personal interaction with us, and and then it could be and that's why I changed. You know what I mean? Just he could turn heel with that promo. WWE, you better do it. He could turn heel with that. Just talking about why he was in the Shield, which. Because in my opinion, I feel like it's too late. I don't think he's gonna change the fans back to him now. I think it's gonna take a heel run and then maybe maybe him to turn face again at some point later that way somewhere. You know what I mean? At some point way down the road, but I don't know. I just feel like he didn't get a chance to explain, which is not necessarily his fault. But I feel like WWE should have let him explain, because Rollins got a chance to come out there and talk, and talk junk to the fans. Amber's got a chance to talk about how crazy he was. So how come Reigns didn't get a chance to at least say, this is why I'm still doing this?
I agree.
I got him on one point, at least one.
But I mean, there's a lot of things that WWE should have done and could have done and never did.
I mean, it is WWE though.
Giving Sami Zayn the freaking IC title. But anyway, I'm not gonna get all mad because you ain't showing no love to my boy Sami Zayn. One of the best. But anyway, this has been your 6-pack of reasons why or why not Roman Reigns sucks. And I personally believe that the why he sucks far outweighed the why he doesn't. I'm just saying. But if you like more content like this, more debates, let us know. We will obviously be back next Monday for another 6-pack thing, 12-pack, whatever you want to call it. We're calling it the 6-pack. You can call it the 12-pack. Give us your reasons why or why not Roman sucks. I will accept the why he does suck. DJ will accept the why he doesn't suck. So let's get that suck up. That was weird. But anyway, tomorrow obviously will be TNA, and then Wednesday will be NXT. Tomorrow also he's gonna.
I think you were gonna say it. I think you just caught it. Also tomorrow, I still don't have a time yet because he was like, I'm gonna look at my schedule, and then we're gonna see. So I'll probably try to. I'll get one of us to message him tomorrow. Aiden O'Shea, Jay Bradley. Got that interview coming. He said tomorrow was good, so I'm hoping we can just get. He said tomorrow evening sometime, so I'm hoping we can get him. Get him on tomorrow. Get a time for you. If we get a time. Hopefully we will. If we get a time, we will be putting it on the Twitter for you guys. So,
all right. So we got that tomorrow. Obviously, Wednesday is NXT. Also, there's going to be something on the Cruiserweight Classic on Wednesday. So we might do a video on that. I guess they're going to kind of explain how it's going to go down because then next week officially starts the Cruiserweight Classic. So we'll probably do a video on that, just getting ready for it on Wednesday. But we will see you on the other side of now. See, it doesn't work as well as Flippity Dippity, but I'm trying. I'm trying to figure out something new, keep it fresh, keep it, new. But we'll see you on the Flippity Dippity. Oh, yeah.